Hello everyone, in this video I will walk you through one of the scenario based question, and this is about role based access control for the CK Certified Kubernetes Administrator exam. And I have framed the question something like this. So I want to create a cluster role with this particular name, deployer admin, and this deployer admin cluster role should only have access to create either a deployment stateful set or a daemon set. So these three things this cluster role deployer admin should be allowed to create. Then I want to create a service account. The name is SA token, and it must reside in this namespace app team-ns. So this is the namespace name. And then finally I want to create a role binding which will bind my cluster role binding, the cluster role, sorry, this is the name of the role binding, and this should bind the cluster role, this cluster role deployer admin with the service account which I have created in the second step. So this is the plan for this question. This is actually the question, and this is how the solution would look like. So here it's like, first I should create a cluster role. So I am saying kubectl create cluster role, and the question is saying deployer admin. So this is the name of the cluster role, and the verb is create. So what this cluster role can do and what are the resources that this role can create. So I'm saying deployment stateful set and the daemon set. Then I can just verify this if this cluster role has been successfully created. So I'll perform this on a live cluster. So I'll copy this snippet of code and paste it. So the cluster role is successfully created, and then the second part of the question is create a namespace. Create a service account. So I'm creating this namespace just in case it's not there, but in the exam it may be there or may not be there. And then I create a service account. So the command kubectl create SA and the name of SA. But you must remember that you must specify the namespace name. Otherwise it will be created in the default namespace. So I just copy this snippet of code and paste it. So the service account has been created successfully, and I can see the service account. And the last part is to bind the cluster role with the service account. So this is how the command looks like. So create a role binding object, and the question is saying this is the name. So SA cluster role binding and cluster role which I have given, and the service account. So these two things are get linked by this role binding object. And then I can do a describe. So I copy this snippet of code. So the cluster role binding, the role binding has been created successfully, and then I can do a describe. So describe is showing everything is all right. And finally, if you want to do a cleanup, you can clean up and you can retry the lab as many times as you want. So I can just delete all the objects that I created for this lab. So all is good, and that's all. Thanks for watching. Bye.